Good evening, this is News.PH, but it's not politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. We all know this, if you drink, don't drive, but we don't seem to really get it. The implementing rules and regulations for the long-awaited Anti-Drunk and Drugged Driving Act are now out. So to those who like to drink or take drugs and then take their cars for a spin, beware. Our guest tonight, Jason Salvador, spokesperson of the Land Transportation Office, Attorney Miguel Zagal, spokesperson of the Department of Transportation and Communications, and Alberto Sumansing, Secretary General of the Philippine Global Road Safety Partnership. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Can we begin with this? Why did it take so long for us to have a DUI law? Maybe I should ask first, Mr. Sumansing.
Well, probably it took them quite some time to have that IRR drafted because of the question.
Sir, sorry, bago pa man yung IRR, kasi ibang issue yun kung bakit isang taon bago nagkaroon tayo ng IRR, yung the law, having a law like that, why did it take so long for this country to have that kind of a law?
You see, it's not only drunk driving kasi ang issue doon, kundi pati yung drugs. Remember, may question na tungkol doon sa ginagawa ng LTO before where a drug testing is required for every applicant's license to take the drug testing before we process the license. So yun, isang bagay yun. No?
Okay.
Then of course...
so akala natin that would be enough?
Yes. Then of course, kasama na din dyan, probably the representations being made by those in the market regarding liquors, no? Dahil ang tingin nila, bababa ang sales nila if that becomes a law, no? Yung anti-drunk driving. Without knowing that even before, in the old law, 4136, nandiyan na yan, yung drunk driving. Kaya lang, ang problema in the old law is how do you implement it? Nahihirapan ng law enforcer because, well, initially, kailangan meron siyang initial violation before you can plug him down. Then pag naamoy mo, hindi mo kagad siya pwedeng tikitan. You have to bring him to a public hospital and do the test, no? Yung blood alcohol test. May question yun. Some will invoke human rights dahil kasi intravenous no? So, that's
human
why...
rights, paano yung karapatan ng ibang tao sa buhay nila?
Yes, yun nga, yun din That's why, well, when former President Gloria Arroyo, naging congresswoman siya, that's one of the law na she sponsored, in fact. She was asking us, since I was his LTO chief during her time, so sabi ko, yun ang problema in implementing that section of RA 4136.
Yeah.
So,
ano yung sinasabi po ninyo? There were liquor companies that were making representations. They were lobbying against such a law.
That's yung nga. Because they see that it can dampen the market, because
But people can still drink naman.
Yun nga sinasabi namin.
It's not like don't drink. It's like it's more like
drive, don't
drink but don't drive.
Yes.
Bahala kayong maglasing kung gusto niyo, di ba?
You can drink your way to hell, but don't drive.
Yeah.
Yun ang namin.
Okay. I want to ask Attorney Zagal and Jason also that same question. Why did it take so long for us to have a DUI law? Maybe you have a different perspective or some other reasons.
Well, I agree. A part of this is the lack of technology to do the testing. I mean, breathalyzers aren't new globally, but they're probably new in the Philippines, relatively. And one of the legal obstacles, this one I'm more familiar with as a lawyer, is the testing of drugs. It was really contested in the Supreme Court. And there was a ruling that indeed you can't force any individual to give samples from their body. So that's probably one thing government had to figure out how to implement. I mean, you have possibly the right policy, the right principles, but on the ground, it's a different matter. It's difficult to implement.
But the law now says that the not arresting officer, the apprehending officer, if he senses and if they fail the tests, then they can be brought for drug tests. Halimbawa,
Yes,
right?
that's right. There's another law. There's the law that essentially covers all illegal drugs issues, which also sets out the drug testing procedures. That's fairly recent, also 2009. So it's also dependent on the technology, I think, given the rulings of the court on how far law enforcement can go in testing the individuals.
But is there something in our culture? Is there something in our culture that can explain why it took us so long to have this law?
Well, some sectors are saying that law enforcement in our country is not yet that mature to implement such a law, because unlike in other countries wherein such a law would be implemented, whoever might be arrested, like in the States, you would see celebrities, politicians who would get arrested for DUI. But they're kind of apprehensive in the Philippines if we can do the same thing. Like we have,
But aren't they using that also as a reason?
yes.
Diba? Parang it's the parang scapegoat eh.
Right.
Yes.
Na, law enforcement is not good enough yet, so let's not have that law.
Yeah,
Eh, lahat na lang ng batas na dapat eh, ayaw.
But we're very much delayed. We're just one of the few countries who doesn't have a DUI law. So it's about time. It's really about time that we have this law.
Okay. The law provides for penalties no, in a jail term. Can we go through that? And maybe you can also tell us why this kind of penalty. For example, a basic question would be, di ba, yung 300 to 500,000 if there is homicide daw, meaning kung may mapatay.
Right.
So parang, yun na lang ba talaga halaga ng buhay ng tao? Parang,
Well, not
what was
really.
the-
Hindi naman
yeah.
siguro pinigyan sa amount na or halaga ng buhay ng tao. But in essence, nilalagyan dito ng yung gravity ng offense mo. For example, you just get caught under the influence without being involved with any accidents or anybody dying, malaki na kaagad yan. But it gets higher so that people would know na mag-ingat ka talaga. Talagang delikado.
It's a deterrent, actually.
deterrent.
Deterrent.
Is it really going to be a deterrent if people know that this is how much they're going to pay, this is how long they will stay in prison kapag nahuli sila kung, if they are caught having gone drinking or taking drugs and then...
Pia, what is being mentioned prominently is the jail term and the penalty, no? Meaning. But there is one penalty na mabigat, ano? If you're caught driving, ang isang penalty is if you're a holder of a non-professional driver's license, you get suspended for 1 year. No?
Okay.
First time.
Yeah.
On the second
First time pa lang.
First
It's good,
time. After 365 days and you drive and you again caught, karito na lang ang pwede mo manehoin. You cannot drive for life. That's for non-professional.
Second offense,
Second
non-professional.
That's for non-professional.
Non-professional meaning private vehicles.
The green license.
Okay.
Now, if you're a holder of a red license, yung professional driver's license, one time lang.
First
you get
offense.
suspended
First
for
offense
life.
and
Yes.
that's it.
That's
Okay.
it.
I think it really comes down to enforcement. I mean, government can keep on saying you'll be in prison for this amount of time, you'll be fined this much money. But ultimately, I think when people start seeing that the penalties are indeed being imposed, that's the time that people will realize we have to take this seriously.
Okay. Before you go any further, now, explain to us also why it took, almost a year for the IRR to come out?
Unfortunately, it's just the reality of bureaucracy.
Well,
Probably it's because of the blood alcohol content issue.
Okay.
Because they were saying that if yung Filipino, mataas ang tolerance sa...
Diyos ko naman, talaga.
Kailangan taasan.
So what do you mean we're different from other human beings? Okay.
They're saying that dapat gawin nating 0.08. No?
Okay.
Yun nga. Then kami naman, in Philippine Global Road Safety Partnership, we're saying, no, hindi. Dapat 0.05 lang. 0.05.
Okay. 0.08,
For 0.05 for private drivers, Pero if
But
you're,
for professional drivers,
professional
PUVs,
drivers, motorcycle riders,
Trucks and buses.
zero. Meaning
Zero.
you should not have alcohol in your blood.
Okay, because of course, if you're a PUV driver, maraming buhay ang nakasalalay
Yes,
sa pagmamaneho nyo, parang
yes.
ganon. Okay. So IRRs released only a year because of that long discussion. Yes.
Well, I was part of the team who tried to do the IRR. We were finished around August, but we need to check on a lot of things because there are a lot of areas. This law is not really that easy to implement because we have to check all the gray areas, specifically the implementation part. We have to make sure that there are some safety nets with regards to abuse. And there are a lot of areas.
Abuse. Abuse meaning?
Meaning in the implementation, there's a lot of things that
Baka
could go wrong during the
mapagdiskitahan
apprehension.
ka, ganon, oh.
And it could go both ways. Not only the law enforcement people abusing the motorists, it could go either way. The motorists abusing the law enforcement people.
Oh. Like how?
You could just imagine,
Palusot.
Ma'am Pia. Not only that, you could just imagine, as we speak, yung mga maiinit na ulo na driver, pag inuhuli, nagagalit na nga yan. Iba nananampal pa ng MMDA, di ba? May mga ibang instances.
Yes.
You can just imagine what will happen kung nakainom. Yung huhulihin mo, and then kung armado pa yan, maraming pwede mangyari. So we need to plug all these holes to make sure that as much as possible, there are no gray areas, and as much as possible, covered namin lahat ng bases.
Okay, so how did you plug that particular hole?
Well,
Halimbawa, nakainom, mainit ang ulo, may barel, tapos i-apprehend.
Well, for one thing, we've decided na kailangan may mga video cameras sa lahat ng mobile patrols. So that
Mobile patrols of the LTO.
of the LTO. But just to clarify, what we will field out are composite teams.
Composite teams, yeah.
Composite teams,
Okay.
meaning not just
Yeah.
LTO will operate or not just PNP. LTO is the lead agency in the implementation of the law,
Okay.
but we are tasked to deputize agents from different law enforcement agencies like MMDA,
PNP, Highway
PNP,
Patrol,
HPG, and LGUs in the provinces. So we will deputize them, we will train them. So what
Okay.
we plan to do is provide composite teams, like one from LTO, one from PNP, one from MMDA, for different reasons. One, so that there would be check and balance, there would be no familiarity, and there would be no collusion. And then we would try to rotate them as much as possible every now and then so that they won't get familiar.
Yeah. And then, did you think of that also? Kasi kung PNP, may baril siya, right?
Yes,
May
of course,
baril, diba?
of course.
So siya kasi hindi naman pwedeng armasan yung...
Yes, MMDA, for
MMDA,
example, or
yeah.
the local government
Yes.
traffic enforcer. So we have to think about all of these things.
Yeah, okay. We'll take a short break first. This discussion will continue after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News.PH. I'm Pia Hontiveros. Still with us, Jason Salvador, spokesperson with the LTO, Attorney Mig Saggal, spokesperson DOTC, and Alberto Suansing, SecGen of the Philippine Global Road Safety Partnership. Okay, what are the telltale signs of drunk or drugged driving? I heard you discuss this already, but I want you to go through them.
Well, according to the
detail.
law, before anybody or any law enforcement officer can flag down a motorist, there should be probable cause. Meaning, he should be driving weird or something. Like, he should have violated some traffic rules, like he's
Initial
overspeeding.
Initial violation.
Initial violations,
He,
okay.
he must be overspeeding,
Overspeeding.
lane straddling.
Lane straddling meaning dalawang lane nasa
Yeah,
gitna.
you're in the middle,
Okay.
so that means
Oo,
wala ka
syempre,
sa
bawal
balanse
yun.
mo.
Oo.
So yung
Wala ka sa sarili
swerving,
pag
wala
ganyan,
ka.
di ba?
Right.
Oo.
Yun yung mga
Swerving.
initial signs. Or basically, if you have violated any traffic rules, that's a sign that you're not driving the
Yeah.
right way.
Yeah.
So
And when you do violate traffic rules, of course,
You'll be flagged down.
the authorities can flag you
Yes,
down. Diba?
definitely.
And then if they discover, you're drunk or you're on
Once you
drugs,
open your
patay
window
ka.
and
Oo.
then the
Flushed
the
eyes.
let's say once you open your window and the apprehending officer sense that he smells alcohol, so he'll be asked to step down, step out of the
Oo.
car.
Or strange behavior, di ba?
Yes,
I mean, I'm
definitely.
sure the personnel who will be part of this composite teams will be trained.
They will be trained to recognize.
And actually, I'm sure they already know, di ba? Alam na nila
About
yun
to say
eh.
that.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
They do know kung ano yung diferensya na nakainom o hindi. No? But still, they will be trained on how to recognize people who are under the influence of one, alcohol, and two, under prohibited drugs. So they will be trained thoroughly for that. Now, what happens next is that if they sense that you're under the influence of liquor, they'll ask you to step down and do the field sobriety test.
Okay, field sobriety test. These are three, right?
three field
What's the
sobriety
first one? Ganito, no? Apart from telling us what those field sobriety tests are, here's the thing,
don't like
Jason.
where this is
I want you
going.
to demonstrate.
Well, actually, I've done this earlier and I failed all of them.
Then demo. Dito ka, ha? Okay.
All right, so, we'll do
first-
for the first field sobriety test is the horizontal gaze nystagmus, or the eye test, what you call.
Okay.
All right. What they will do is they'll ask the motors to step down and then stand up. All right, for
Okay.
example, and then they'll hold a pen light or a ball pen in front of you about 1 foot from your face, and then you have to follow the tip of the pen or the pen light using just your
Yeah,
eyes.
that's what doctors do, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So you're supposed to follow that without your eyeballs jerking until it reaches the far end, because
Okay. If the eyeballs jerk, that means
that means there's you
there's
have
some.
Let's say,
That's a sign
so
na.
that's a sign that you're
Oo.
under the influence of something.
Okay.
Okay. So if you fail that, then we move to the next field sobriety test, which is the walk and turn.
Walk and turn.
Walk and turn.
Demonstration, please.
Gentlemen.
No, go ahead, please.
Mix ikaw na lang.
I'll be happy to see Jason do a demo. Because
Well, the walk and turn.
Alam nyo, hindi kayo makakauwi ngayong gabi. Yun yung demo.
The walk and turn is
Well,
something
yeah.
like this.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
you
The-
chose
the
the
walk
easier
and
one,
turn
sir.
is something like this. You have to walk.
Ay, sir,
you
pagdala
cannot
yung
actually-
mikropono, ah.
Actually have to walk nine
9
steps.
steps.
9 steps. Why 9?
Take it, sir.
Scientifically
Oh, yeah, anyway.
speaking, those are the right number of steps to tell if you're out of balance or something.
But you have to do it like this.
Yeah, heel to toe.
Heel to toe.
Heel to toe.
Oh, see? You cannot even do
Yeah.
one step.
It's hard enough to do
Heel to
even
toe and in
sober.
front of each other. The feet
Yes.
right in front of each other. O parang model.
Yeah,
Mahirap
catwalk
din
na.
yan.
Catwalk.
It's a catwalk.
9
And then you
steps.
come back.
Okay.
You turn,
Turn,
then you again.
go
do it
back.
again.
9 steps.
9 steps.
Okay.
All right.
And if you fail that,
And
that
if you
means...
fail that, you walk. You go to the last test,
Yeah.
which
Wait,
is
wait. You failure means first or
And-
second step pa lang.
Yeah,
Hulog.
What
or
we're checking
ano.
here is the balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
The balance, because basically, if you're under the influence of anything, either drugs or alcohol, you're out of
Dalawang step
balance.
pa lang.
Yes.
Wall ka na.
So
No, but if you fail one
So your
test,
mic... Okay.
yeah, if
You
you
go
fail
straight.
one test, you go straight. If you fail the eye test, then that's it. You go straight to the breathalyzer.
Okay.
But if you pass it, then you move to the next and to the next.
All right. The third one.
The third one is the one leg
One leg
stand.
stand. Yeah.
Who wants to demo?
since you're standing anyway, sir. Yeah,
Wait,
there you go.
hindi ko makakauwi. Okay.
All right.
One leg stand, ganon. Wow.
Wala.
Okay.
For
It's about 6 inches off the
6
ground
inches.
for 30
6
seconds.
inches off the ground.
For
And
30
how
seconds.
long must you...
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
But
half
if
a
you
minute.
are moving this way, you're
Yeah.
catch about...
yeah.
You have to be,
I'm not even
yeah.
drunk, but
It's hard enough.
No. So you will fail that test if you do that? If you're...
imbalanced.
Okay.
So you have to stand, have to stand steadily.
Okay.
As in like that for 30 seconds. They'll count it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to, complete the 30 seconds, then you'll pass.
All right.
Without falling down.
Okay, wait. Before we go to the breathalyzer, if... can a motorist refuse?
No.
Oh, that's
hindi
heavy
hindi
penalties
siya pwede
for
magsabi,
refusal.
magsusumbong ako sa
No,
Commission on
actually.
Human Rights.
if he refuses to be tested, then the police, the apprehending officer, the next thing that the apprehending officer will do is to bring him to the prison.
And
Revoke
the license.
Oh,
Automatic
refusal.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that is in the law.
Yes,
That's
yes.
provided
There
for.
is no question, no legal,
No,
Yes.
no question.
no constitutional rights violated.
None. I mean, having a license is a privilege.
Right.
So if you violate these rules, then you're subject. It's automatic confiscation and revocation of your license.
Okay, hindi pwedeng, sir, I'm sorry, meron po akong appointment.
No. You cannot
Sir,
do
pwedeng mamaya na lang po, 2 hours from now.
that. No.
No.
Immediate revocation plus without prejudice to whatever penalties the
Yeah.
law may
Okay.
impose on you.
One other thing motorists like to do, no, there are some. So maglalabas na lang ng pera, magbabayad.
Oh,
Paano yun?
Well, that's
You
why
said
we have
check and balance.
Yeah, that's why we should have video cameras in front of the dashboards of the mobile patrol so that we will see what's happening. And aside from that, the arresting officer or the apprehending officer doesn't really know his body or the ones he's with. So, you
Yeah.
can't just
That's why it's a
resort to-
composite team.
Yeah.
So that
Okay,
there's
okay.
no familiarity.
Wait, so the officers don't really know each other, composite team. Are you saying that you're going to be shifting
Yes.
them? So like every few days, iba na yung kasama?
That should be the case. That should be the case. So
What
that
do
there
you mean
won't
by
be
that?
any familiarity.
Yeah. Okay. So you said kanina, no? If they fail the 3, then breathalyzer na.
breathalyzer. Because
Okay.
that's where we can confirm if he reaches the limit of 0.05.
Okay.
So for private motorists, as we mentioned earlier, if you're a private driver driving small cars, not really trucks and not motorcycle,
Yeah.
if you must not reach a blood alcohol concentration level of 0.05.
Yeah, okay. What happens? Can the motorist refuse to take the
Again.
breathalyzer?
Again, no.
Again,
Your license will be
magpaliwanag ka sa
revoked.
presinto.
Sa presinto.
Presinto ang tuloy. Ganon. Okay.
It's quite a harsh penalty, really. The difficulty, if the person is indeed drunk, they have a tendency to put
Be
up a fight.
argumentative.
Magpagkulitan.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So instead of just
Okay.
going for the regular penalty of, let's say, 1 year suspension of your license, you might face a revocation right away,
Yeah.
just because you're drunk and you don't want to subject yourself
Yeah,
to the
just
test.
because you're uncooperative.
Yes, that's
Ganon.
right.
You know, some people will say, abala naman to. What will the officer, how will the officer respond pag sinabing, abala nyo naman ako?
Pasensya na po.
Pasensya na po.
Well,
Simple.
it really has to be strict law enforcement, if you ask me. So a lot of this LTO has to
Yeah.
train all these
Okay.
enforcers very strictly.
But is this going to, this is not yet going to be in effect, right? Because we're still going to bid out.
Yes,
For the
yes.
breathalyzers,
Actually,
right?
the law gives us about 1 month to make a massive info dissemination campaign because the people really need to know what's going to happen when the law is in full force. So what we're doing right now is we're doing an info campaign all over the country so that everyone would be educated. And at the same time, we will take this time to purchase the vehicles, to train our officers, so that when we are ready, we will fully implement the law.
Yeah, okay. Before going on further to the bidding, etc., is anyone exempted from any of these tests? For example, kung senior citizen,
Nope.
no.
Nope. The
Anybody-
the law does
anyone-
not provide exemption.
Anybody who operates a motor vehicle.
Anybody who operates a motor vehicle and if he's found to be guilty of drunk driving, he gets it.
Wow, we'd like to see the first apprehension. This is going to be interesting.
Yes.
So, magbibid out, no?
Yes.
It'll take, like you said, a month or so.
Something like that. We've already requested for funds from the DBM and from the road board. And I don't think it's going to take that long because
Yeah.
everybody knows the importance
Talaga,
of this
hindi
law.
tatagal. DOTC? Hindi.
Well, we have faith in the LTO.
LTO na ang
We are gonna
magbibid
do it,
out.
yes. We
O
are gonna
bakit?
do it.
In fact,
Di nyo na kaya, DOTC?
in
Too
fact,
many projects.
Not really that.
Well,
Pia, we
yes,
would
yes.
like to.
Sorry.
In fact, Pia, we even would like to test the law.
Yeah.
Because it is the presumption that when the law was approved last year, it became effective. Because, in fact, that's one reason why immediately they withdrew the what you call
Yes,
this,
the drug testing.
the drug testing, because they said that
As a requirement for license.
the law was already effective. Remember, what, 2 weeks ago, there was this incident in Manila where a jeepney
Right.
was
Get hit by the train.
got hit by the train,
Because
and
he was
the
drunk.
driver was drunk. In fact, we're trying to follow up that case. We want to see the driver maghimas ng rehas.
Okay, mas
How
na rin.
graphic.
I don't. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. Okay. Have any? Sorry, are we going to a gap now, or how many more minutes do we have? Have any? Okay. Have any of you or your family or friends been victims of drunk or drugged driving?
Well, in our case, yes. I had a relative who perished. He was just walking, and then here comes a vehicle being driven by a drunk driver. He ran over my relative. My relative died.
Okay. Nasa na ngayon itong drunk driver?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Well, that happened long before I became LTO chief. Had it been during my time as LTO chief, I'd see to it that he suffers.
Okay. You think he's probably still driving now?
Probably yes.
Yeah. Yung mga ganyan, pag nakakalusot, di ba? Lusot ang tawag dun pa. Palusot at lusot eh. Do you think umuulit
Yes.
sila?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Because they can get away with
Because
it.
they can get away with it and the penalty kasi is not harsh. Ano mo, Pia, ang problema dito sa atin, ano? Una-una, marami mga drivers na tingin sa batas natin, suggestion. And then, if once they get into trouble, let's say, nagkaroon ng banggaan or what, areglo. Then that's it. One thing that we would like to push for is that those offending drivers should get the harsh penalty. Meaning, cancellation of driver's license, or even jail term.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. But wait, who is going to decide? What does the law and the IRR say? Who is going to decide how heavy the penalty is?
It's in
Because
the
there's
law.
a range.
It's in the law.
Yeah, but there's a range, di ba? Oh, 20 to
Yes,
80, no injuries. Sino magsasabi, ikaw magbabayad ka ng 80, parang ganon.
Well, these offenses
Okay.
go through the regular process. So you go to court,
Court.
for these.
Court.
Yeah. So a
And
defender,
ang magsasampa ng kaso dito yung LTO,
yes, the law enforcers will file officially a complaint.
Kailangan sa korte yan dumaan at yung judge ang magsasabi kung magkano yung babayaran.
Yes, that's right.
Isn't that another hurdle? Ang haba ng proseso ng korte, ang daming pwedeng gawin, di ba? Ang daming pwedeng sabihin na para magka-delay.
Meanwhile, his
He's in jail.
his license is
yeah,
suspended,
right. Okay.
and he must rehas siya.
Okay.
Post bail, yes, post bail if he wants
Oh,
to get out.
yeah, he has to post bail.
They can post bail?
Should be. I mean,
that-
you can't hold the person in prison unless
Okay.
he's proven guilty already. I mean, he has an option of bail.
Okay. But in the meantime, he can't drive.
Yeah.
He can't drive. Yeah.
Okay. We'll go back to this discussion after this break. News.PH will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching News.PH. I'm Pia Hontiveros. Still with us, Jason Salvador, LTO spokesperson, attorney Mig Sagal, DOTC spokesperson, and Alberto Suansing of the Philippine Global Road Safety Partnership. Jason, you have a breathalyzer there.
Yes, ma'am. This is a sample of
Show
what
and
we
tell.
will use
Okay.
when we fully implement the law. This
So
is what-
meron ng nanalo ng bidding.
Wala pa po. This is just a sample.
Wait a minute. How many companies are going to be bidding?
Around 3 have already submitted their proposals.
Okay. Pero
but-
hindi ito yung mga kumpanya na connected sa MRT maintenance, no?
Hindi po.
Hindi, no?
Hindi po.
Walang
Hindi po.
connection
Wala
whatsoever.
po, wala po.
Okay.
That would be very weird if that,
Yes.
that happened.
Yes. Anyway, this is what we call, because there are different breathalyzers out in the market. There are some
Alright.
personal breathalyzers, but what we need to purchase are the police grade breathalyzers, the ones
Police
that have
grade.
printouts, so that it could be admitted as evidence once it reaches the
Okay.
court.
Okay.
So I'll just show you how
Yeah.
it looks like. This is the actual device.
Turn it on.
This is the actual device. All right.
Okay.
So yeah, this is where everything will register. This is the disposable tube, wherein the motors will blow air so that the blood alcohol content can be measured.
How many pieces of disposable tubes do you have here? Like,
Well,
Naku, nakialam
plenty,
na. 1, 2,
plenty,
3.
because that
Marami yan,
should be
okay.
disposable.
yeah. How much is this? The entire thing? 100?
Well, over 100,000.
All right.
Over 100,000. What's special about this is that we have a separate keyboard so that we can input the details of the driver, his license number, the apprehending officer's details and everything.
Okay.
And then we have a separate printer,
Print. All right.
see, which
cute.
prints out the results of
Yeah.
the test, the blood alcohol level, the
Okay.
name of the driver, the name of the apprehending officer,
Okay.
the date, the time.
Okay. Oh, kanino to? 0.08.
That's mine, actually.
No, just kidding. 0.00. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so that's it. Basically, it should have all these components so that
Yeah.
it could be effective.
All right. Wait, since you have this, the info inputted here goes to a central computer system.
Yes. It could be logged in to a central database. Aside from the
Okay.
printouts, we have a central database that could actually store data and which we could use later on.
Okay.
But basically, this is it. This is what we'll ask the motors to blow into.
Sige nga, demo.
All right. And there are several for this particular model. There are several modes: the auto test, the manual test, and the passive test. What's good about the passive test is that you don't need to actually use this immediately, the tube. You can remove this, and then the motors will be asked to blow on this part, and it will say yes or no. Yes or
okay.
no. So if it says yes, then you need to move further to the tube so that it can measure the actual blood alcohol concentration.
Doon nalalabas yung kung
Yes, 'cause
0.05.
need not go further if it's negative anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the good part.
Alright.
And then it will register here, and then you could just press a button, and then it will print
Yeah,
out here.
okay.
It can print out 3 copies, one for the apprehending officer, one for the driver, and one for
Yeah.
record.
This instrument is belongs to one of those 3 who are going to
Yes,
possibly bid.
yes, possibly.
So there
But
are
we're
others.
looking at other companies as
There
well.
are
so-
others also. What are their ano yung kaibahan ng
Well, almost the same.
Yeah.
Almost the same, but one's from US, one's from China.
yeah? This one is from where again?
from
Sorry.
the US.
The U.S. The
After
U.S.
checking
but
their
where?
data-
Made in where? Made in China? Let's see. I'm just. No, I'm looking for the made in China. Asan na? Meron ba?
Probably
Made
the
in USA.
components, The
It's here.
components.
Made in USA.
Made in USA.
Yeah.
Pakita mo.
But the components are
The
from
components
China.
are-
Alam mo, issue kasi yung China ngayon eh.
Like-
Made in USA. Okay.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is basically how it will look like on the street, so that our audiences would be familiar.
100,000? Magkano
Yes.
talaga yan? Baka naman hindi 100,000 yan. Hindi kasi 'di ba pag may magbibidding, dapat you know, you make tawad pa,
Oh yes,
di ba?
definitely the lowest bidder.
Oo.
The lowest,
Lowest bidder.
Yes, the lowest bidder.
100,000 parang mahal pa yan ah. With
Well,
technology nowadays,
Yes, but you know,
baka naman that's just
might be China.
50,000.
It
ha?
might
Might be China if it's cheaper.
yeah, the Chinese embassy might be watching. Anyway, what's important here are the printers and this paper, because actually it looks like a ordinary
Yeah.
thermal paper.
Yes.
The ones they print out credit card receipts, but they say that this particular paper lasts for 7 years. The details won't be erased.
Oh, okay.
Because
okay.
we know this will be used in the court. So this is very vital
Alright.
in the apprehension process.
Okay.
So that's it. All are Bluetooth capable, so that wow,
Okay.
even mobile you can
So
use it.
meaning pati yung inapprehend, I'll ask you later no if that is the correct term. Yung tao na tinesting, pwede rin siyang bigyan ng parang resibo
definitely,
niya.
definitely.
Yeah.
Resibo niya talaga.
That's his right.
He'll have a copy of the, because
Yeah.
that's a prima facie evidence.
Aha, okay. So kung positive siya, eto ho, resibo niyo. Doon
Ito
ko
yung-
yung magpaliwanag sa presinto, parang gano'n.
Oh, so siya mismo, meron siyang ebidensya. Kung hindi man, ang importante doon man pag nag-negative eh. Kunyari nag-negative ka, pero pilit ka pa rin kinukulong. Teka lang, meron akong ebidensya, nag-negative ako eh. Or I'm below 0.05.
Yeah.
So meron ka rin panglaban.
Okay. But of course, even if you're below 0.05, that's not really comforting to know, because what it tells us is yes, there are
Naka-inertia.
still people who drive even
Yeah,
if they've already
tolerance,
driven.
Yeah.
So how do you explain that?
Nakakalungkot kasi there's this notion ng mga Filipino drivers na sinasabi lang mas magaling sila magmaneho pag nakainom sila eh.
Pag nakainom.
Sino kaya nagsasabi niyan?
Parang hindi, like for example, when you're in a party or when you're in a gathering, you would remind somebody, are you driving? You've been drinking? No, I drive better when I'm, when I'm drinking.
May tawag sa ganun, ano?
Every time. You would hear that every time.
Yeah.
No, I drive
Yan naman ang
better.
palagi. Because siguro, they're used to it na nakainom sila, magmamaneho, and they don't get into an accident. But it will only take...
Not yet
All it
anyway.
takes is
Not yet.
one, yeah.
Pero one time lang yun eh. Parang ang nanalo sa loto. Katataya, matsambahan ka, nanalo yun.
Okay. The law covers drunk driving, drugged driving.
Drug
Driving
driving.
under the influence.
Drug driving,
Drugs, yes.
Yeah. But it doesn't cover, how shall I say it? A severe lack of common sense.
Wala.
That would be hard to legislate.
Hindi ba?
Wala pa.
Di ba? Merong
if that's the
ganon.
case, we should not
Hindi.
be issuing him a driver's license in the first place.
Yeah, but how can you tell na itong taong to medyo hindi nag-iisip pag nasa kalsada? May ganon. Because there are some drivers, they're not drunk. They're not on drugs. They're just not very
It's
good.
again, Pia, as I'm saying, it's in the enforcement. Kung gaano katinding enforcement. Why did we reach this kind of situation? Because mahina yung enforcement.
Okay.
Enforcement was not being looked into with conviction. Kaya ang nangyari tuloy, mag-umpisa sa mga pagkabata yan eh. Yung bata, nakikita niya yung tatay niya, yung kuya niya, yung tiyo niya na nagmamaneho, and then stop na go pa. So, pwede pala yun.
Yeah, okay.
Tapos pag nahuli ng enforcer, kukuha ng pera sa kwarta moneda and then ibibigay sa enforcer. Pwede palang bayaran.
Tatanggapin naman.
Tatanggapin
Okay.
naman. So nakalakihan niya yun.
Okay. So negative reinforcement.
Negative
Yeah.
reinforcement.
But now it occurs to me na
Behavior yan. Behavior.
behavioral, no?
Yes.
And then at the same time, yung mga ganyan, yung mga kulang sa common sense, well, yun ang mga nahuhuli sa traffic violation.
Yes, yes. That's the reason for traffic. That's the reason for road crash.
Yeah.
It's people who misbehaves.
Misbehave, yeah. And I was reading something that a quote from you. You were saying that let's stop calling it accident,
Yes,
no?
because it's preventable. That's why we want to call it road crash.
Yeah.
It's a neutral term.
Yes.
Because when we say accident, walang pinag-ugatan.
Oo.
Well,
Parang hindi ko kasalanan.
Hindi ko kasalanan.
Oo. Na hindi naman tama.
Oh.
Okay.
Without known cause, walang pinag-ugatan. But in this case, in all the cases ng road crashes, meron pinag-ugatan. Somebody violated the law. Somebody violated the provision on overtaking.
Right, right. Someone violated the law that is... And we should change the way we think. Paradigm shift on, no?
Yes,
We should
yes.
change the way we think about the law.
Yes.
Like you said,
Suggestion.
the law is not a suggestion.
No, yeah.
Should not be a suggestion.
In fact, nung nga, Jason is aware of this when I was LTO chief. Right in front of LTO, blatant ang violation. Yung may signal light doon in front of LTO, stop lang, go pa rin.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
There's an
Yeah.
interesting that LTO is working on right now. For violators, those who don't have perhaps the common sense of driving, if they rack up all these traffic violations, we're looking at having a point system similar
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Singapore, the merit system.
Demerits.
Yeah, we should
Similar
have
to
something
Singapore.
like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do that. In fact, that works two ways. If you're a decent driver, an obedient driver, you don't get into accidents, you don't incur violations, we're gonna extend the validity of your license from 3 years to as much as 5 years.
Wow,
So as a reward
okay.
for being an obedient and a good driver.
Yeah.
But if you're a pasaway or a nuisance driver and you would always incur violations, we can shorten it up to 1 year and then eventually suspension and revocation.
Okay, when is that going to happen?
Within the year. We've already drafted the rules. We're going to submit it to the DOTC for approval, and then that's it. We're going to
Okay,
implement
it doesn't need a law. It's just
No,
a,
no, no,
an
no.
LTO policy.
Just a department order, actually.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
In fact, we
Yeah.
even, like for example, in the case of reckless driving, you get apprehended for reckless driving for 3 times, suspended.
Yeah, okay. Is this going to solve the problem of all these bus drivers, abusive, reckless bus drivers, and the companies that they drive for?
What will solve this problem is the enforcement, the
Okay.
integrity of enforcement.
Integrity of enforcement. Okay. Is this just a matter, or a part of it is giving the enforcers the teeth, arming them?
What do you
Because
mean?
arming them with the law. Because
yes,
even earlier, our discussion was about how the law before
Yes.
did not have enough teeth, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it's arming them. I mean, professionalized enforcement. That we see to it, the authorities should see to it that those who are mandated to enforce traffic laws, rules, and regulation are really will do their job,
Yeah.
of enforcing.
Okay. Oh, and before you go to a break, yung video cameras, those are the video cameras that you can mount. Dash cams, di ba?
Yes.
O magkano lang yun, di ba?
Yeah, mura lang yan.
Mura lang yun.
Mura lang yan.
Pag yan lumabas na sobrang mahal, iba na.
Hindi.
Hindi naman
Dapat
siguro.
hindi.
Okay, we'll take a short break. News.PH will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News.PH. I'm Pia Hontiveros. Still with us, Jason Salvador, LTO spokesperson, Attorney Mig Sagkal, DOTC spokesperson, and Alberto Suan Singh of the Philippine Global Road Safety Partnership. And if he looks familiar, that's because he was former LTO chief not so long ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go on, one of my producers has this interesting question, and I was thinking about it a while ago. So you said, di ba? So may reward yon, reward system eh. Pag good behavior ka, good driver, hahabaan yung the life of your license.
Yes.
No? Is there anything else that you will be giving?
Well, for now, that's enough reward because they won't have to trouble themselves in going to LTO every 3 years. So
Yeah.
extended yun.
Oo. Hindi, nagtatanong yung producer ko si Joseph. Kataan.
the
Baka
reward-
ice cream. No?
The reward for good behavior is you don't get into trouble.
Yes.
Yeah. Oo. And you contribute, no?
You contribute,
To an orderly...
Yes.
You know, what's wrong with discipline? Parang ayaw natin ng disiplina. We're allergic
It
to...
depends on the ambience. It
Yes.
depends on the environment.
Okay.
A misbehaving driver outside Subic,
Yes.
they misbehave. Pero pagdating to sa Tipo Road pa lang, Tipo Road pa lang, wala pa sa loob ng Tipo Road says speed limit 70 kilometers per hour. He does 60.
Natatakot kasi mahuli.
Yes.
Right. That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
So ngayon, I'm sure yung mga taong mahilig uminom, takot na ngayon.
Sana.
Dapat.
Sana.
Not unless na makita nila talagang...
I'm sure they're gonna test it. People are gonna, try their luck and try their way kung talaga bang i-enforce ito sa kanila. At dapat i-enforce talaga.
Yeah. Of course, you advise them against...
Of course.
Don't even try.
Don't even try it.
Don't even think about it.
Don't
It's-
even
it's a
try.
cultural
We're
thing. It's not
really
easy to do.
recommending to liquor shops, bars and do the same what they're doing in Australia, one for one. Yung mga bars doon sa Australia, meron silang tester doon. Doon sa loob ng bar, no? Before you go out, then it registers. Then hindi na magmamaneho yun because not far from the bar, yung apprehending officer doon na nakaabang na ron.
Okay. You said that they'll be given training and ito parang mga lecture lang. There
Yes.
will be live demonstrations, I suppose.
Yes, of course. Not only training about the law, training about the equipment, but pati yung basic na pag-approach sa mga motorista. Kasi iba-iba yan. Dapat marunong sila tumingin ng temperamente ng motorista. Kasi kung mainit yung ulo, for example, paano mo ba dapat i-approach yan? Or kung arrogante, dapat lahat yung matutunan nila. Kasi a lot of things can go wrong at the
Yes.
middle of the night. Somebody's been drinking and then paparahin mo.
Katakot-takot ang kulitan yan.
But very basic courtesy.
Yes.
But at the same time, firmness, no?
Yes.
I mean, don't give in.
Their rights, the rights
Yeah.
of the motorist, kailangan alam nila pareho yan. Yung karapatan ng huhulihin nila at karapatan din nila. Baka naman sila rin yung inaabuso. Because again, it could go either way.
Yeah.
Baka sila naman yung inaabuso ng
Oo.
motorista.
No, I don't really mean yung kung baka sila yung abuso ng motorista, yung the firmness when it comes to implementing
Yes,
the law.
yes.
I mean, this is the law.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
this is nothing personal, di ba?
That's right.
See, that's another advantage of having a dash cam from the law enforcer's desk, from the dashboard. Because now, law enforcer can just come up with some excuse. I mean, he has a job to do, and it will be recorded, and the superiors will know whether he did his job or not.
How heavy is the concern about abuse by the authorities? I mean, is it really...
I've
Or
received
is
a
it
lot
just-
of informal feedback from people quite scared about it.
Yeah?
I guess
yeah.
partly from their experience, maybe they've had bad experiences in the past. So that's again, it's part of it's a paradigm shift, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
We have to start somewhere, and this is the start.
Yeah, but if they follow the law, then
They have nothing
what
to
do
fear.
they what do they have to fear, di ba? Okay.
They what you call this, they align this like, for example, about drugs, tinataniman ng ebidensya. Yun ang sometimes na dahilan. No? But in the case of, let's say, yung drunk driving, nasa loob ng katawan mo yun.
Oo.
So,
And-
you have to be tested.
Yeah, and no member of this composite team will have any access to the vehicle. It's not the vehicle that they're trying to
It's
test,
the
it's the
driver.
person.
It's the person.
Kaya nga pinapababa, right?
And
Hindi
it's
naman-
only the
yeah.
driver, hindi yung pasahero.
Yes.
We have to clarify that. No? Yung pasahero, halos mamatay-matay na sa inom. Hindi siya papansinin ng enforcer. Yung driver.
Yung nagmamaneho lang talaga. Okay. And like you said, so hindi naman pabababain. They're not going
It's
to...
only the driver that
Yeah.
will be asked to step out of the vehicle.
Yeah. So this is not your regular police checkpoint
yes.
What's
thing
important,
na,
Ma'am Pia, no? The people should know that not any Tom, Dick, and Harry police officer or traffic enforcer can flag them down and apprehend them for DUI. Kailangan ito yung mga dineputize namin ng LTO. And the vehicle should have proper markings that they're operating for DUI.
Okay. So there will be, what will it say?
They have big IDs.
Yeah, big IDs and that they're
Yeah.
operating
Deputized.
for such. Because, ang hirap naman no, kung kahit sino dyan na bigla kang paparahin, oy, DUI ka,
DUI.
20,000 to 80,000. Di manginginig na yung kung sino man yung driver, mapipilitan na mag-offer. Because let's face it, if you get apprehended for this and you'll get possibly jail term na 3 months, people will try to bribe. People will try
Yeah.
to bribe to get out of it. So, yun
Yeah,
ang
okay.
iniingatan natin dito.
Oo. But I'm sure these composite teams will be posted in lighted areas. For example, yung mga ganun,
of
ano?
course.
Para,
Not in sleazy corners. So,
Yeah. If possible, kung within Metro Manila, kung meron dyan yung mga CCTV cameras din ng MMDA, mas maganda. Para
Yeah.
aside from the dash cams, meron pa tayong CCTV sa mga poste, that's better. So that
Yes.
meron dagdag na seguridad.
oo. Well, apart from the dash cams, and there are many private vehicles that have them now, and then the dash cams that these teams will have, there is the dash cams of netizens, social media.
Yes.
Everybody's reporting.
Yes.
Hindi ba?
And everybody has cameras on their
Almost,
phones. So while this is happening, they can record it.
Yeah,
Hindi
okay.
sila dapat sitahin, uy, ba't mo ko kinakamera? Ba't mo ko kinakamera? Kasi di ba, pag inaprehend o kinakamera mo yung law enforcer, parang, bakit? Di ba? Parang, hindi, that's their right.
Okay. Did I forget anything else?
Well, that's about it. But what's important is the 0% they need to understand this. For public utility drivers and for those driving trucks and motorcycles, there should be not a drop of alcohol in their blood. Meaning 0%. Why? Because nagtataka sila, bakit kami? Bakit ibang tingin nyo sa amin? Because they have,
Bakit hindi?
di ba, a bigger responsibility. Unang-una, mas delikado yung dinadrive nila.
Yes.
Pangalawa, mas matagal sila sa kali for PUVs, di ba? And may pasahero ka, mas malaki ang responsibilidad mo. That's why 0% talaga.
Then, of course, if they're driving a public utility vehicle, likewise, yung may-ari ng sasakyan, liable din.
The operator.
Okay.
The operator.
The operator. Or so paano yung penalties niyan?
Yes, dalawa sila.
Dalawa sila. The company and
Yeah, the victim can run after either of them.
Unless the owner of the vehicle can prove that he has done his job. He has done his share, no? Extraordinary diligence.
yeah. Okay. Time for final words. Let's begin, sir. Mr. Suwan Singh.
Well, there have been a lot of questions regarding the recent law, the RA 10586. Let's give it a try. No? A lot of people has been dying.
Yes, we should.
A lot of people has been dying on the road because of drunk driving. So, siguro, panahon na ito para baguhin na natin yung sistema.
Hindi lang sistema, no? The way we think about
Yes.
about law, about our country. Okay. Attorney Sagkal.
I'd like to address, there are some people who, obviously, because it's a change in their habit, they might feel that government is overreaching, or we might be being we might be imposing too much on their lives, on their lifestyles. But I think it's fortunate that these people are probably those who haven't experienced a loss because of drunk driving or drug driving. And I think they should be thankful of that. And they should realize that this law is designed not to deprive them of their lifestyle, but to protect them and their loved ones from being victims as well.
If they feel government is overreaching, why is it that when they're in Subic,
Yes.
they follow the
Precisely.
rules, di ba? It's
Precisely,
not overreaching.
Yeah.
Sumusunod sila eh, di ba?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's still the Philippines.
Yeah, as far as we know, no? Kahit may ed ka, okay?
Well, yes,
Jason?
like Attorney Migs have said, we are not trying to curtail your rights to celebrate, to party and to, but we're just reminding them how important it is not to drink while you're driving, and if you're driving, please don't drive.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Mr. Suwan Singh, thank you very much. Alberto Suwan Singh, Jason Salvador, and Attorney Mig Sagkal. Maraming salamat. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Still not convinced? Still not scared about a law that penalizes drunk and drug driving? Well, how about this? The next life you take could be yours. See you next Wednesday. Thank you. Good night.